You're listening to the Screen Team on 930 KWOC.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
To infinity and beyond!
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Please, what does it always mean? This Junior.
That's his name. Henry Jones Jr.
Like Indiana.
We named the dog Indiana.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
I am your father.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Bond. James Bond.
And now the Screen Team on News Radio 930 KWOC. It's Saturday at 6 p.m. It's time for another edition of the Screen Team here on Today's Talk 930 KWOC. Chris Berger in the studio, being joined by the very lovely, the very pretty Miss Sabrina J. How are you today?
Makes me want to fix myself up.
You look good. You look good. And we have our good friend Jamie Hickson back with the Screen Team. Jamie, it's good to see you, man.
Thanks, man. Good to see you guys, too.
We haven't had you on the Screen Team for a while. You've been busy with music and doing some plays and stuff, right?
Yeah. I was in the play up at the Rogers Theater recently. And
how did that go?
It was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. I probably had the second smallest part in the show, but it was worth it because just to see everybody else, react. But it was a comedy. It was a Neil Simon play, so those are always fun.
Barefoot in the Park.
Right on.
Barefoot in the Park, yeah.
So we got Jamie's picks for today, and his personal pick is The Mexican. His DVD pick is a movie called Dead Man Down, and his theatrical release is the brand new Wolverine movie. So before we get into that, I want to talk about some movie news because Jamie is a big comic book man. And yeah, you are. And we just recently had Comic-Con in San Diego a couple weeks ago with a lot of big news. And I want to start off with probably one of the biggest news of the weekend. You're going to like this. Settle down. Girls like comics too, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, Dude, I totally want to go to Comic-Con.
I know, that'd be fun, great. Man. Have you gone to?
I've been to it. Yeah, I went in 2001.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just insane how, and that was back then. It's gotten even crazier.
Makes you
now.
feel really normal, doesn't it?
Actually, a lot of Comic-Cons, even the small ones, make me feel kind of normal sometimes. My favorites are the what we call the cape people. They walk around in a cape. They're wearing street clothes, but they got a cape on. I don't know what that's about. They touched on that in Seinfeld and never really explained that either. So.
Well, one of the big news was about Superman's going to have a sequel, which we all knew about, and Luke was not a big fan of the Superman movie, apparently. But Batman is going to be in the new Superman sequel. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't really know what to think of it at this point. They haven't released any information, and they're going to really milk this because it takes them, a year and a half or 2 years sometimes to put these things together. So I did read a piece that they were going to recast Batman, which in a way makes sense that the way they ended the Dark Knight trilogy. So I don't know. They're kind of leaning into the comic stuff a little bit with Batman versus Superman, but those aren't literally, Batman versus Superman. They're not fighting or anything like that.
So are you a fan when comic books interjoin characters like that?
Oh, yeah, because, sometimes you can get something really cool out of a crossover depending on what the characters are and stuff like that. Let's send the Fantastic Four to this, other place and see what happens. That kind of thing. But and there's a whole school of thought there that some of the crossovers kind of kill reader interest because they cross over so many different books, and you're like, well, I got to buy 12 different issues to get this one story, and I just like the X-Men or whatever,
Yeah.
So that bugs some people, but then there's other that are just they eat it up. So,
just out of curiosity, did you see this new Superman movie when it came out?
I did not.
Okay.
Was that by choice?
It kind of was. I wasn't that impressed with Green Lantern. And I don't know. The more I saw about this Superman movie, it just kind of put me off from it. Started to hear things about the storyline and the characters, the way they handled them and stuff like that. And I'm a fan of Zack Snyder, the guy that...
Are you really? You like Zack a lot?
Yeah, I really liked his interpretation of Watchmen. Because they've been trying to make that movie almost since the comic book was finished printing, and it was just going to be way too expensive. Terry Gilliam was supposed to make the movie at one point, and he looked at the script they had and was like, this is $1 million a page, And back then that was huge money. Now it's just a drop in the bucket,
Right.
But I like what Zack did with 300, which is another comic book, Frank Miller.
What about Sucker Punch?
I liked Sucker Punch.
Did you really?
Yeah. And I didn't like the ending, but who would? But they kind of set it up that way to be like, well, this is how it's going to go,
Right.
And you kind of see it coming. But I love the visual stuff he does. He does really cool action sequences and things like that. So
yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Zack Snyder, and I'm kind of scared because we both saw Superman and we were both not impressed with the new Superman movie. I like the character, the actor who plays Superman. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
But just Zack Snyder, I'm not there yet, and I'm kind of scared. What is he going to do to Batman if Batman's in this new movie? So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
One of the other big things was they showed just a little teaser clip of the new Spider-Man movie. Did you see that?
I have not, actually.
Yeah, they show like a little 10-second clip of the new villain, who I'm not really familiar with this villain, but Jimmy Fox plays him, and he's like
Electro.
a purple. Yeah. He's a purple dude who looks like all...
Yeah.
He looks like a neon light, man, is what he looks like.
Well, that's part of it,
Yeah.
Electro, he's got electrical-based powers, of course. In the comic book, he wears this very garish green and yellow outfit with, lightning bolt things coming off the face, and he's kind of a little over the top. It's almost like the electric fried his brain, and he's all, I'm Electro,
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see.
That's how I feel every day.
I'm kind of curious to see if they go that direction and make him a little, schizoid or whatever. But it's interesting that they picked Jamie Foxx to play the character. That totally changes the visual for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it could be interesting,
So we've got a lot of big movies coming up with comic books, and so it's going to be exciting next couple of years with Avengers 2 comes out.
Yeah.
I know Marvel's also going to try to get into the whole Ant-Man movie scene, and
Ant-Man?
I don't know.
Ant-Man.
I don't know who Ant-Man is, but apparently he's a big deal.
Ant-Man was one of the first Avengers.
Really?
Yeah, going all the way back to the early 60s.
Wow.
Henry Pym is Ant-Man, and he's been Goliath and Giant Man and Yellow Jacket. He's been 4 or 5 different characters that are all kind of related. They shrink or they get bigger. That's
wow.
That's his scientist bent, as he was like, I come up with this formula and it makes him either shrink or get bigger. But it's but yeah, the Ant-Man movie could be pretty interesting. There's talk of them casting Simon Pegg.
Really?
And if that happens, I'll be in the front row for that movie.
Very
well,
nice.
I won't, because I can't focus on the screen.
Yeah, did she tell you we had to move the other night?
Yeah, we had to do the same thing when we saw The Conjuring. We were up in the first 2 rows.
I was like, I can't see it.
I'm kind of the same way.
Not going to happen. We got to move back. And I'm not breaking out glasses to go to the movies.
So Jamie's first pick is a movie called The Mexican, and funny story behind this is Sabrina and I had a tough time finding The Mexican to rent. Well, Jamie came to our rescue, and he found a copy, and Sabrina and I did not get a chance to see it. So,
Nope.
So Jamie, tell us, just give us
Did you rent that, by the way?
I did rent it, even though I own it. I searched through like a dozen boxes at my house and could not find my own copy. So
oh, Lordy.
I bit the bullet and rented it for you.
So just tell
now
us.
I feel really bad.
No, it's okay.
Tell us a little bit about the story and why you like the film.
Well, I'm a big fan of almost everybody that plays a part in this movie, even like some of the smaller parts. The story, it's a little deceiving at first because you think it's just like a boy and girl at odds with each other. They might break up, they might not, kind of story. But the story, the Mexican in the movie is a gun.
Ooh.
Very nice.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not really ruining a plot point for you, but it's a little deceiving where you see this cover, and it's like, hey, it's Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts. Why is it called The Mexican? You know, they're from America or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, but once the story gets rolling, you find out why he goes to Mexico and why she's there. And somebody that has a really cool part in the movie is the late James Gandolfini. Yeah, and the part he plays in this is very interesting, especially when if you've never seen the movie and then you only know him from like The Sopranos and his tough guy stuff, then you see him in this and you're like, oh wow, that's really cool that he can go that direction too. I won't ruin that because that is a big plot point, but you'll just have to watch it to find out.
And we will watch it too.
Okay,
yes,
it's worth your time. I
feel a late night movie coming on.
Yes,
there you go.
Yes, all right. It's called The Mexican. You can find it at Hastings, apparently
in the comedy section.
In the comedy section. All right. Coming up next, we're going to review the DVD film called Dead Man Down, and we'll do that next on Today's Talk 930 KWOC.